I don't know why y'all want to do a movie about me, but I'm flattered. I never was much for schooling until I took up a music class when I was 9 and discovered I had a natural talent for the sax. I figured music would be my ticket out of Whitaker's and into the big city and the big time. By 14, between odd jobs and hustling, I had saved up enough money to buy a secondhand sax. I joined up with this local blues band, and I guess I was around 16, until one day this cat from Atlanta said he could get us a record deal, playing the blues. So we hopped a Greyhound to Atlanta, Georgia. We got signed on a Riverside label, but they went bankrupt a year later. Then around 62, I met this singer named Bernadette. I had to convince her to sing with the band. I had to get with her. She had a body like a 12-piece orchestra, and I wanted to play every part of her. Man, we were balling for days. And then one night, she told me she was knocked up. What do I know about being somebody's daddy? So, Bernadette had a little girl. She named Janetta, April of 1965. She looked like a little chocolate angel. Bernadette wanted us to get married and for me to get a regular job. But I wasn't a regular job kind of dude. Not for me.
This here letter say you writing a story about my daddy. And you want me to record a video about my life with you? Well, there's not much to tell. Daddy didn't stick around very long. But I tell you what I recollect. It was April of 1965 in Atlanta. Daddy was always practicing his horn, day and night, night and day, just driving Mama crazy. He'd be playing, shotgun, shooting for his run now. And anything by James Brown for sure. I think Mama and Daddy was in a band. Mama was singing and Daddy was playing the sax. According to Mama, all the boys in the band wanted her. I think that's why the band broke up.
Then the summer of 1968, the band broke up because no one cared about the blues anymore. I landed an audition with a jazz band in New York City. I still remember the look on Zanetta's face when I kissed her goodbye. I really planned to go back. But after a taste of New York, Bernadette and the baby girl just became a distant memory.
Oh, I remember Mama singing and Daddy dancing with me, standing on his feet. I felt like a debutante or something. Daddy would tell me that I'm his special sweet Georgia peach pie. Life was good. It was better than good. One day, Daddy came and kissed me on the forehead and said he'd be right back. I waited. He never came back. Not that night or the next.
Too much time went by, so I chose to stay away. You know, I felt they deserved better. So I focused on what I knew best, my music.
After about a year, I didn't ask about Daddy anymore. Guess I really didn't care. I decided to learn how to play the piano to make Mama happy. I didn't care much. but I pretended to make her happy. When I went to high school, I met this boy named Lee James. He was in the High School Musical. Ooh, I would have followed that boy to the ends of the world. Yeah. One day, Lee James brought his sax to rehearsal. Oh, we had us a hot jam session. Everybody gathered round to listen. I did not want to like that boy, but I couldn't help myself. At the end of the rehearsal, Lee James asked me for my number, said he was going to call me that night. I could barely get through the rest of the rehearsal. So anyway, that night, I was waiting for the phone to ring, kind of like how I used to wait for Daddy. Lee James didn't call. There I was, hurt, feeling stupid over yet another handsome man with a sax. Oh, I didn't want Mama to know that I was stupid and gullible again. The next day, at rehearsal, Lee James was looking fine as ever, but I didn't pay him no never mind. Oh no, I still had my sense of pride and a renewed sense of anger. At the end of rehearsal, I saw him walking towards me with that toothy grin. And I did what any good Southern girl with proper upbringing would have done. I gave him the finger. And I walked away with my head held high. We were happy back then. And I could see the love in Daddy's eyes. I just can't figure out how it could disappear on us like that. I mean, I could understand if he didn't want to be with Mama anymore. That's one thing. But I'm his daughter. His flesh and blood. And then he just threw me away like yesterday's newspaper. How can a man do something like that? And you know the crazy part? I still wish he would walk through that door. Just so I could say, see what you missed out on? You thought you took the music from me, but I got it anyway. So you take that and blow it.
Things started looking up around 1969 when I met this fiery mamacita named Marta in a club in Spanish Harlem. Mm-hmm. After that night, we were together all the time. I found out she was a dancer with the Alvin Ailey Dance Company, that's right. She had legs to kill for. And she had muscle control in her thighs that made me play notes I never thought of. I stayed with her from time to time. She lived just outside Harlem. Her mother stayed there too. Her mother didn't like me one bit. And you know what? I didn't like her either. To her mother. In December of '72, Marta was all upset. She found out she was pregnant. She didn't want a baby to ruin her career, but I was so excited. I get to be a father again. And this time, I was going to get it right. Marta wanted to have an abortion, but I convinced her to keep the baby, especially since she thought it was a boy. That July, we rushed to the hospital. I paced the waiting room for hours. And I found out she gave birth to a baby girl with black wavy hair like hers and big brown eyes like mine. Although I was smiling, Marta could tell I was disappointed that we didn't have a son. But after picking that baby up, and looking in her innocent face, I was determined that I was not going to let her down. Not this time. We decided to name her Zaria.
So you want to know what I remember about my papi? July of 1973, Spanish Harlem. My abuela, that's my grandma, she said that it was the hottest summer ever. I said I brought the heat. Before I could even walk good, I was dancing in the streets because there was always a block party going on. Papi was always right in the middle of it playing his saxophone. Dancing is in my veins. My mommy was a dancer with the Alvin Ailey Dance Company. And when she would be at home with Papi and Papi would be playing his saxophone, the music would make her so happy. He would pick up that horn and he would play some Average White Band or some Grover Washington Jr. and Mommy would dance like a ballerina. Boy, I was about 3 then, and all I wanted was to be a dancer like my mommy. Papi didn't come over all the time, but sometimes he would stay over. And my abuela, she did not like that. She would say that Papi was going to make Mommy burn in hell for making babies outside the church, and then Papi would yell at her and accuse her of teaching me how to cuss in Spanish. And then she would start yelling at me in Spanish, and then nobody really knew what she was saying at all. I just wanted to be a beautiful ballet dancer just like my mommy. And Papi couldn't afford dance lessons for me, so Mommy would teach me sometimes when she was at home with me and Papi wasn't around, which was a lot. Oh, The Wiz was on Broadway. Come on in, ease on down the road. I wanted to go so bad. I wanted to go see the dancers dance. I wanted to go hear the music, but they said that I was too young, so I had to stay home with my abuela. So Mommy and Papi went that night, but only Mommy came back. And when I woke up with the next morning, Papi wasn't there. I looked all over for him, but he was gone. Days went by, and Papi never came back. The only one who was happy was my abuela. She was walking around whistling, and I had never heard her whistle before. That Saturday, it was my birthday party, and I wasn't in a party mood. And Mommy tried to do everything to get me in a party mood. She put on my favorite dress and Papi's favorite color on me, roja. But it just wouldn't make me happy. Wouldn't put me in a party mood. So Mommy's right about to cut the birthday cake. And all of a sudden, I hear the birthday song in the hallway. And my heart starts racing. I run to the door, and it's Papi. And he's standing there with a beautiful ballet ballerina Barbie doll in a box. She was so bonita, I could hardly touch her. I took the doll, and I went in the room to show my abuela. And when I came back, my Papi was gone. I didn't know where he went to. And he didn't come back for days. I took the Barbie in the room, and I sat the beautiful Barbie ballerina doll on my pillow, and I just stared at her.
In 1977, Zaria was 4, and I got a gig in Baltimore with a promise of a record deal. I talked to Zaria whenever I could. Her voice was the one thing that made me happier other than my music. I got busy. I didn't see her again till her 8th or 9th birthday. Marta and I got in a big argument. I'd probably been drinking. I don't remember. I meant for this to be different this time. But somehow, it ended up the same. That was the last time I saw both of them. Then I moved to D.C. Everybody loves a good sax player, right? You know you're right, because you know what? And that's what I am. I am a good sax player. And y'all know that, right? You know that. I know that. I'm a great sax player.
One day, the lady from Mommy's dance company came over to see if Mommy would go back and dance. I didn't want her to go because I knew that it meant that Mommy wouldn't be around that much. But she decided to go anyway. And Poppy, he was around, just coming and going here and then. One day it was my birthday, and Poppy stumbled in, I remember. He smelled kind of funny. And I ran to him, or at least I tried to, but Abuela pulled me back, and Mommy just went into her room and slammed the door. Poppy hugged me. He gave me a $10 bill. He told me he loved me. That was the last time I saw my Poppy. That July, there was a blackout in the city. And I remember being so afraid. All I wanted was my Poppy. Mommy was out of town with the dance company, and I think Abuela was more scared than me. We crouched down in a corner, and she prayed in Spanish. I never saw anything like how people acted during that blackout. I think that's why I sleep with a nightlight to this day. Poppy finally called about a week or so later. I told him all about the blackout, and I asked him when he was coming back, and he said soon. He said that he would call me next week. But he didn't. After my 8th birthday party, he never called again. I stopped caring after he stopped calling, and I was angry. Mommy was traveling the world with her dance company. And I studied ballet, and I studied African dance, and I poured all of my anger into my dance. It made me so much more expressive.
In 1982, I left Baltimore and moved to Washington, D.C., better known as Chocolate City back then. Landed a great job in a classy joint called the Blues Alley. Blues Alley. Yeah. A lot of famous people, celebrities, important people came through there. Then one night I spotted this chick with her friends, dressed in a suit, looking all uptight. After my set, I decided I'd go over and talk to her, not expecting anything, of course. But by the time we were done, she gave me the 7 digits. You know how I do. The sax players, we get it like that. Her name was Ramona. She was a classical pianist. She had a body like a brick. You know what? Woo, baby. What a body. My band was working on our first album. Things were finally falling in place. My life was looking like the way I had imagined it. Everything was going good with Ramona, and I thought I would ask her to marry me. I moved in with her in Capitol Hill. And then she hit me with it. She is pregnant. Oh, Lord. Whew. So I thought, 3 strikes and you're out. This time, I would be the father I always wanted. I was secretly hoping for a son. September '84, Ramona gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. We named her Zoe, which means life. Life was good until my bad luck streak showed up again, and our record label changed ownerships from jazz to hip hop. So our record deal got put on hold. Indefinitely.
I guess about my childhood. I was born in 1984 in the nation's capital, and I am proud of it. I had an interesting childhood. I remember when I was 3, Zan and I would sit on the front porch. We lived in this row house on Capitol Hill, and he'd come out and play a saxophone. Well, not all the neighbors appreciated his music as much as I did. There was this one lady, she threw water, and it got me wet. Oh my, Zan went off. I can still hear him screaming and cursing at her now. Oh God, he was my hero. But I tried to be just like him, so I tried to repeat what he said to her. It was fine until she called the cops. And then we just had to run all the way home. It was a lot of laughter in those days. There was this one thing Zan used to do. He would take his horn out and he would just blow this long note. And I put my back kind of like against the horn, and I would try to hold on, and he would just blow and blow until it tickled, like until I couldn't take it anymore. Oh my God, I forgot about that. Well, Mom would come in the room and she would fly around the corner, and then she'd see what we were doing and she'd just smile and shake her head. Sometimes if Zan was out late, Mom would play sad songs on the piano. There was this one song that she would play over and over and over again. I thought it was one of her classical pieces. But then one time I heard Zan playing it on the sax. It was a piece called Mood Indigo by Duke Ellington. Yeah. Zan would play Duke Ellington for me on the sax whenever I could listen, which was a lot.
I do remember playing my sax for Zoe. She would sit there like my own private audience and clap her tiny little hands for every song I played. Man, I love playing for her. In her eyes, I could do no wrong.
Action. I thought the three of us would be some kind of band. Then Mom enrolled me in Sitwell Friends. It was this ritzy private school. Zan was against it. He wanted me to go to public school. Within a year, I noticed that Zan was home just less and less. And I really just missed those private jazz shows he used to do for me. And I wanted to show him how much I was progressing on the piano, but it seems like when I was in school, he was at home. And then as soon as I got home, I must have just missed him. Mom said I started acting out, being a brat. I do remember that sometimes I wouldn't even eat. Mom says I started acting out, being a brat. I do remember that sometimes I wouldn't even eat. And if I really wanted to make her mad, I'd pretend that I didn't understand my piano lessons. That really pissed her off. But I figured she must have done something to push him away, so I punished her for it. I don't know. I just really thought that Zan couldn't do anything wrong. Moving on. I remember that year I had a birthday party at the National Zoo. They used to always take me to the zoo because I love the monkeys. Well, that year, Zan was a no-show. I remember when we got home, he was there. He was laying on the floor, passed out. And it was this empty bottle just laying beside him.
I kind of remember her birthday. Ramona got her a princess birthday cake. Ben got fired the same day. So straight up, I got wasted. But Ramona wanted to talk. So she showed me the cake, and the smell of all that icing got to me. So I threw up. I threw up on the cake, and I threw up on Ramona. And she threw me out. Threw me out. I knew Zoe had seen me drunk and passed out too many times. And I know that ain't cool. So I tried to apologize to Ramona, but she wasn't hearing that.
The next morning, I asked Mom where he was, and she said he moved to the West Coast. I didn't know what that was. I just knew that it sounded really, really far. I asked her when he was coming back, and she said she didn't know. I don't know, I guess I started thinking that maybe it was my fault, that maybe I'd done something to make him go away. I don't know. Sometimes I'd hear Mom crying at night while she was playing Mood Indigo on the piano. Eventually, we got used to the idea that Zan wasn't coming back, like ever. So I threw myself into my music, and I even started to write my own songs. When I was 20, I actually was able to sell one of them to the top Billboard artist. You know, I always wondered if Zan ever knew that, or if he even cared. Mom really tried to show me from the truth. But what she didn't realize is that I was just going to make up my own. And in my mind, it was just me. It was something that I did wrong. I thought that maybe if I had just learned to play the sax, maybe if I played the sax instead of the piano, that he would have loved me. There was this one time, I remember I snuck down the stairs and I picked up his sax and I just blew. And I must have done it wrong because the next day my lip was like swollen. He doesn't even know I did that for him. It's all good now, though, because after a couple years of psychotherapy, I got all my daddy issues worked out. And now, oh, you should hear me when I play Take the A Train. I
do think about them. All three of my girls. I wonder how they are, what they look like, who they grew up to be. Maybe if things turn around for me, I'll get a record deal, then my music will be in a movie. proud of their daddy. That's all I want.
Excuse me, but this row is reserved for family. So if you don't mind.
I'm well aware of that, thank you. So what are you doing sitting here?
Exactly. Could the two of you please be respectful enough to move?
What? Who are you?
I'm his daughter.
What? Wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me that I've had a sister all this time and didn't know about it?
Seems like we all had two sisters we didn't know about. Are there any others? I mean, do we have brothers?
I don't know. It's just messed up we had to find out about it like this.
How old are you?
27. How old are you?
37. What about you?
I'm 46. Talk about your Rolling Stone. This is so low. So what did he do? Leave my mama for yours?
I don't think so. So don't look down your nose at me. But I'm guessing he left mine for hers.
No, he didn't. Not according to my mom. He left for his music. That's all he cared about. That's all he ever cared about.
I thought that letter was a joke. Some kind of a sick prank. I only came out of morbid curiosity. You know what? I'm not going to stay here and listen to a lot of people say a lot of nice things about a man who was not nice to me or my mother.
I didn't know what to think. I mean, after not hearing from him for so long, and then all of a sudden I get this letter, part of me was sad. And part of me said, there is justice in the world.
You know, I didn't come with any expectation, really. I just thought that since he was our father, I don't know, it's the least we could do, right? We owe him that much.
I don't owe him a damn thing. It's the other way around. He owes me. But I guess that's a debt I'll never collect on. You know what? It's been real interesting getting to know you both. But I have another engagement, and I really don't want to be late.
Wait a minute. Maybe you would feel better if you let him know how you feel, right? He's right over there in that urn.
He's your daddy, too. For years, I tried to figure out what I did wrong to make you go away. I blamed Mama. I blamed myself. You know, Mama's still living at the same place because she thought you might be coming back. She wanted to be right here where you could find her. You broke our hearts and damaged me. I've never been able to trust men thanks to you. And now, you can't even apologize for it. I learned to play the piano because of you, in spite of you. But you never heard me play. You're the one who missed out because I'm fabulous. And all you contributed to all this was genetic material. Nothing else. Therefore, I have decided not to forgive you for the apology I never got. You are not forgiven. You hear me? Not forgiven.
And another thing. I could almost forgive you for leaving me, but for deserting Mommy, she was a dancer. I mean, she became nothing but a shell when you left her. And when Abuela died, she hardly even came out of her room.
You know, I really used to hate you. But then I finally came to terms with it. It took several years of psychoanalysis, but I finally think I understand. And because of that, I don't hate you anymore. Mom told me years ago that you were running from your own demons. You were never satisfied, but you were one of the best sax players in DC, and everybody knew it. You gave all of us life, but you destroyed almost as much as you gave. At least now I won't be lying when I tell people my father passed away. Zane, you made plenty of terrible choices. But from what I can see, you got it right at least 3 times. So I guess I can forgive you for that, if nothing else. But I'm still mad at you, so just don't get it twisted.
He is not worth sticking around for. Let's get out of here.
I'm not sticking around with people I don't know.
Well, wait, I'm coming too. You could have chose me. Wouldn't have told him.